Nigeria is very hard to explain, but I am going to try. It's hard to explain to people that officials also ask for tips. It's a foreign thing. Like in other Western countries, it's actually a huge crime. You don't give officials any of those things openly. I'm not saying corruption does not exist. Corruption definitely exists everywhere in the world. It's just not, and bribery and all these things is just not as open. And a lot of these things are not actually bribery. Like some of these people are not like forcing you that you have to like pay before you do these things. Although some of those instances happen, majority of the time, they're just asking you for money. So people, and this is not peculiar to Nigeria, it's probably common in other African countries and maybe even some other developing countries as well. So that is number two thing that is like hard to explain to people, that when they stop you, it's okay, just give them, it's okay to tip them. But at the same time, is it legal? Is it not legal? I don't know. Should I even be saying it's okay? I don't know. But just know that tipping is the general culture of Nigeria. It's always okay to tip. But it is wrong, very, very wrong, if they're detaining you for no reason. And then they're now forcing you to pay, because now it has evolved from tipping to what they call extortion. So there's a difference. Extortion and tipping is different. But at the same time, just know that it's okay to decline. It's okay to say you don't have. And most of the time, it's actually not even a problem. But if you've broken the law and you don't have any of your documentations, or you made a legal U-turn, they now have grounds to hold you. They'll now offer you like a court date. They'll either take your car and you go with them to the police station, or you figure out a way to work it out informally. I'm just letting you know that's just the system of Nigeria. One thing that's very hard to explain to people that are not necessarily here is that when you rent an apartment, unlike places in the West, typically when you rent an apartment, the place is usually pristine. Like usually when a tenant lives in an apartment, the owner of the place would like repaint, fix everything, fix the electrical, the ACs. Like literally when you want to buy a brand new house or when you want to rent an apartment, you're coming into a place that's literally ready to move in. Nigeria, it no be so. It's not that. So most likely when you rent an apartment or buy a house, when you rent an apartment, you're gonna have to end up fixing a whole bunch of stuff. And you're gonna have to end up bringing in a lot of stuff. You're probably gonna bring in your stove, your microwave, your AC, your TV, your fridge. And some apartments would even have some. Some apartments would have like a wardrobe, or like some of them will have a microwave, but more times than not, you have to be prepared to bring in all of your own infrastructure into the apartment. And there's this fees that a lot of people are not used to. Like when you rent an apartment, there's like all this hidden fees. I think deposits is common. In US, what they call a security deposit. But they have caution fee, they have legal fee, they have agency fee, and then they have this service fee. So there's like all these fees that you have to pay. In some cases, they even have what they call a diesel deposit fee, which is essentially like the diesel for the backup gen that you have to pay. So all of these things, again, I'm trying to explain to people that are renting an apartment, like if your budget is like 10M, you might, your budget, you might need to add like 25-30% on top of that. And that's like your legitimate budget. So again, this is very, very confusing. The country is broke, but also rich at the same time. And it doesn't make sense to me, and it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. Like on paper, Nigeria is like one of the biggest African economy, if not even the biggest. But there's also a high level of poverty at the same time, especially with the amount of natural resources that we have. Like Nigeria should not be poor. So trying to explain that Nigeria is rich and poor at the same time is very, very confusing. So that is one of the things that's hard to explain to people. All right, another thing to try to explain when people come here, or I can tell when people visit for the first time, I also explain this, is the driving culture. Even me, I know understand them. The driving culture is wild because people cut you off. People drive on lanes that are in our own exposure. It's like emergency lanes, but people are just driving everywhere. There seems like, it looks like there's no law and order. It's chaotic. But at the same time, there's some law enforcement. There's like LASMAs and police. So it's confusing because you're like, there's law and order, but people are still driving crazily anyhow. So when I have a new person that comes here, I can tell that they're on edge and they're full of the anxiety is high because they're like, oh my God, this person almost hit me. This person cut me off. Why is that person driving like that? Why are they honking all the time? But I have to consistently reassure them that that's normal. Like there's no chaos happening. That's just the normal way that people drive here. So another thing is that I try to explain to people is that things are not necessarily centralized. So in Nigeria, a lot of people are creating their own DIY infrastructure. Again, none of these things that I'm talking about, any Nigerian, anybody that's gone here, if you came here, you probably already know. But this is more of an education for people that are not familiar with the Nigerian terrain, or a little bit of a refresher for you guys that have left for a long time and are wanting to come back. So usually water is centralized in the different communities in the West. Electricity is centralized. Gas, central. Almost everything is central. But in Nigeria, a lot of things is very, very individualized. A lot of people have their own borehole. Each estate drills their own borehole to get their water. A lot of people treat their water. A lot of people get gas cylinders into their house. Security is not centralized either. A lot of people have their own private gatesman and security people in their estate. Just a whole bunch of things is not centralized. So just know that that's one thing that I've had to explain to some people. I'm like, this is not like, there's no bills. You just have to do it. So I have to explain the concept of an estate and service fees, that there's a way that you can be in an estate and they can service all of these things for you in a way that's centralized. But they also have what they call self-service, which means you don't necessarily want to plug into the community's infrastructure. You kind of want to do your own. So all of those things, it's always a challenge and weird to explain to people that are not used to Nigeria. The last one that's also kind of interesting, because a lot of people see Africa as generally poor. I don't even know the conception that Nigeria has, but in my own exposure, Nigerians are wealthier than diasporans. They're quite wealthier. If we're talking about, in comparison to middle class and upper class, if we're not talking about lower class, if we're talking about middle to upper class, Nigerians are far, far wealthier than foreigners or anybody that's coming in here. I would say the benefit that people coming from outside have is stronger currency, access to credit, and also the monthly inflow of income that happens. Again, there's pros and cons to that, because it's more like you're making all this money, but how much are you actually really keeping by the time you pay all the bills and taxes and all of that stuff? But men, even the reason why I know Nigerians are very wealthy is because I visit all these estates and I look at everything. And when I look at the general population, if I went to a rooftop restaurant the other day, and when I look at the general population of the restaurants, 80% of them are local Nigerians. Maybe 10% are maybe returnees, 10, 15, 20. And then Lebanese, Chinese, whites, they're usually 5 or 10% of the population. It doesn't matter whether it's foreign restaurant, at the beach, expensive houses. The majority of the population are actually local Nigerians. And this one is the one that, if you ever try to come here and flex on the middle, upper class Nigeria, they're going to outspend you easily. And we're talking about true wealth. I'm not talking about credits. I'm talking about true wealth. So, and I think I figured it out. I think I figured it out. So the reasons why a little bit Nigerians are far wealthier in the way that it's confusing is because a lot of these people that are in middle upper class, number one, they have established businesses. They have businesses, some of them are boring businesses that you don't even think about. And some of them, they have built-in equity in like legacy business structures that's happened. Some of them have generational wealth of like lands and properties that probably was not worth much when they were growing up, but it's worth a lot. A lot of these people invest. They've bought lands, properties when they were affordable. Now they're a lot more expensive. Some of these people have like, maybe they're just running a dispatch business. Like I know of a guy who has like 50 to 70 bikes, and that's what he does. He does delivery and he does this dispatch for people. Some people have keke businesses where they have like 10 or 15 kekes that they rent out. People just have very many different ways of like generating cash here. Some of it is also, they know how to maneuver the bureaucracy of Nigeria better than a foreigner. Government contracts is big. Political influence. A lot of people here have the real way. They have political influence to get things done, get government contracts. It's just a lot of things that I feel like, I mean, some of these people, they have a car dealership. Like they're importing and exporting. Some of them, they're just selling like pipes. They're just selling like plumbing pipes that everybody's using to build the house. Some of these people are, obviously real estate is a big deal. Some of them are interior designers. There's even some people that they're just doing carpentry and they're like making a killing. There's all types of businesses. Some people, they're running a logistics business. Again, they have the upper hand because they know how to handle our people. They know the system, they know who to connect. Whereas somebody like me, I have a huge learning curve. I have to learn the culture, I have to learn the people, I have to build connections, and I have to do all of that. So now some people that have left Nigeria, you have lost that like relationship building, understanding, but those guys, they have stayed. So they now have like 5, 10, 15 years experience over you, especially if they're an entrepreneur. So, and they have a little bit of cash. So they've learned how to master the system. So I think that's why I think Nigerians are wealthier. But again, it's contradictory because you're gonna be like, we are poor, yet we are rich. We're rich. We have crazy inflation going on, but yet people are able to afford things. Is it foreigners? Is it local Nigerians? Where is the money coming from? Is it dirty money? Or is it money laundering, which some of that happens? Or is it this clean money? Because I think sometimes when we talk about wealth, we focus so much on maybe the politicians or people doing unethical things like maybe Yahoo boys, even those they're even really that wealthy. But there's this huge like middle class that I don't even think people pay attention to. There's like people running like fintech apps. There's so many apps that are developed by local Nigerians here. There is all types of solutions that people are not thinking about. When I go to a networking meeting and I meet all these local Nigerian entrepreneurs, I'm just like, dang, all of you guys are here, and they're all talking about their business, whether it's agro-processing, whether it's agriculture, whether it's real estate, whether it's tech, whether it's some people are doing like trading, forex trading, all types of stuff. But yeah, they're definitely here. Don't be deceived. Nigerians have money. All right, guys, as you guys can see, Nigeria is very hard to explain. You just have to live here to understand. It's a country where everything is working. There's a system, everything is flowing, but at the same time, everything is not working. But at the same time, people find a way to thrive. People find a way to find joy. People find a way to push, and they just some way, somehow figure out how to get it done. Nigerians are very creative. They're problem solvers. They know how to overcome obstacles, almost to a fault, but it's happening there. Why? How do they do it? I don't know. It's because we're Nigerians. And even that is hard to explain. So the whole summary of this video, the lesson that you're going to get out of this video is don't even try to make sense of Nigeria because it would not make sense to you. The more you even try to make sense of it, the more confused you will be. So I would recommend you just flow with it, just like a regular Nigerian, adapt and try to figure it out. And before you know it, you'll be thriving, you'll be moving, you'll be shaking, and you wouldn't even know how you're doing it because there's a spirit here that is just unexplainable. Whether you're relocating back or you want to learn more about Nigeria or you're moving back or you're visiting, check out my book, lifeinlagosbook.com. I lay down everything that you need to know, all of my experiences about maneuvering the Nigerian culture. I think you get a lot out of that book. I've even had some people that have moved back, they've read the book and they're like, oh, Bayo, thank you so much. This chapter of your book helped me figure out the car registration that I need to do for my car. The steps that you laid out there was good. So I have restaurants, beaches to go, nightclubs to go, how to maneuver everything, all the different types of law enforcement, and everything is in that book. So check out lifeinlagosbook.com if you're interested. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. And remember, it's your time to rise and let your light shine. Peace.